Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Friday, May 26th, 2017, Ramadan began, the Muslim holy period, which ends this year, June 24th, 29 days after it begins. I've talked about this the last few years. Whenever Ramadan rolls around, we see a spike in propaganda surrounding Christianity and Islam. Every single year, like clockwork, in the time of Ramadan, we get lots of false flag propaganda, false terrorism propaganda, and it's all part of the mocking we, the people of this world, are living under in a world where Zionist Jews control the media. Every single year, if you pay attention during Ramadan, false flag propaganda, and it's always surrounding the number 52. Every single year. Clockwork. And just to make that point, we're going to talk about all of these mainstream stories from the first day of Ramadan, yesterday, May 26th. There's an Egyptian shooting of Coptic Christians on buses, supposedly. This comes after the Coptic Christian church bombings in Egypt on Palm Sunday, the weekend before Easter. In the NBA, Turkey wants to arrest one of the Islamic players from the NBA who supposedly on social media supported a known terrorist with a comment. We'll talk about that. Duterte, the Philippines leader, he's in the headlines for his rape jokes, but if you read these stories, they're covering up the real news, that he declared martial law on the Islamic territories of the Philippines, and just in time for Ramadan. For 60 days, martial law, Islamic territories of Philippines. And then in Oregon, we get a man who was shouting racial slurs, largely targeted at Muslims, supposedly killed 2 people. He has the last name Christian. We'll talk about the riddle here with the Crusades. But anyway, let's begin here. The Egyptian shootings. Supposedly these happened yesterday, the first day of Ramadan. Now today's Saturday, May 27th. ISIS has claimed responsibility. And remember, ISIS stands for Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. All of this propaganda surrounding ISIS from the beginning has been coded out by the numbers. False flag after contrived terrorist story for the mainstream media. Every single time, this is the rule, not the exception. In the language of gematria, ISIS sums to 52, like terrorists, like Ramadan. And if you want to do this math with me, down below, going to link the Gematrinator calculator. If you came to my work 2 years ago, I didn't know about the reverse ordinal or reverse reduction, but all of these methods are based on the alphabetic order, forwards and backwards. They are interrelated systems, have a lot of video on this. But you can just type it in here, Ramadan, with the alphabetic order. 52. ISIS, reverse ordinal. 52. And what other word do we have up there? Terrorist. They love to give us these false flag terrorist stories, blaming it on Islamic boogeymen and the time of their holy period, Ramadan. Terrorist, 52. So, in the story, they said 29 people were killed. Interesting number. Ramadan will end 29 days after beginning this year. This story from the first day. Also, these were Christians that were killed. Jesus, the central figure of Christianity, gematria of 29. And I should have also put up here Muhammad, also 29. Jesus, Muhammad, notice the reduction in ordinal overlap. Very similar. Jesus, you have to do the single reduction to see the 29. But anyhow, a lot of similarities. In 2014, I said why we would see Muhammad Ali pass at age 74. He died at age 74, 52 years after taking on the name Muhammad Ali, in tribute to the Prophet Muhammad. The word prophecy, also 52. Prophecy, 52. A lot of people probably remember the Ramadan story from Tennessee a couple years back, where the shooter targeted the military buildings at the strip mall. The shooter's name was 52. They changed his name a bunch of times before it finally arrived at 52. But notice Tennessee, where that story happened, 52 and 47, just like Ramadan. And 47, also a very special number to Christianity because it's an important number to Freemasonry. And it's Freemasonry that's had so much influence on this world, from language to spirituality to the calendar. All things we've covered. If you missed my work on May 23rd and why to look out for a false flag around that date, we got the Ariana Grande the day before. Go back and check it out. Talking about why May 23rd, the most important date in terms of its symbology to Freemasonry. And on May 23rd, we got the story of the first victim from the Ariana Grande concert, and her name was Georgina Calendar, like Gregorian calendar. Her name summed to 142, also like terrorist. And she supposedly died on the 142nd day of the year. But anyhow, this story here about the attack on the buses with the Coptic Christians, I just want you to remember, the Coptic Christian calendar, New Year's Day is September 11th. September 11th. There was that Project for a New American Century that became the Bush administration that wrote that document. PNAC. P-N-A-C. Look it up. Project for a New American Century. They wrote the document about needing a new Pearl Harbor for the new century. And on New Year's Day, the Coptic calendar, in an event that was meant to spark a holy war, which we've been involved in ever since, attacking the Islamic region of the world, ever since September 11th, which was carried out by Saudi Arabia and Israel, our allies. Anyway, ever since that day, a continued escalation in media reporting, dividing the people over the religion. Christianity, Islam. I want you to notice that the story that CNN ran, if you watch the video, it was a minute 21 long. Kind of like 121. 121, its square root is 11. 11. We began with the 29 dead, 2 plus 9, 11. 11, very special number to the Bible. Most Bibles are 66 books in length. If you add 1 through 11 together, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 up to 11, it sums to 66. Revelation equals 121 in Gematria, using the alphabetic order. Revelation, the 66th book, 66 connected to 11 mathematically, 121 connected to 11 mathematically, the master number in numerology, the Bible encoded with numerology and Gematria, and tells its readers not to know these things, they're evil. These evil things are the way the Bible's written. You don't think somebody's touched the Bible? I think it's really foolish to think that nobody's touched the Bible. Remember, they're 42-line Bibles when they were first printed, 42 generations to Jesus. Jesus died for your sins, the word Savior 42, the word sin 42, New Testament 42, Freemason 42. But anyway, just notice Coptic and Christians also has the Gematria of 66, this very special number. September 11th, New Year's Day of the Coptic calendar, in the 11th state, with the giant buildings that look like the number 11. The 11th day of the month, 11th state, the World Trade Centers, which literally look like 11s, were 110 stories tall, 110. Their demise blamed on Osama bin Laden. Notice the 47 and the 110. Buildings 1 and 2, 110 stories, 11. Building 7, 47 floors tall. Solomon Brothers building was building 7. Remember, Solomon's Temple is what it was all about. Notice the Gematria of 68. In 1968, 911 made the National Emergency Dialing Code. World Trade Center construction began. And George W. Bush graduated from Skull and Bones. 33 years before the planned false flag for the planned build-up to the third and final needless world war. Supposedly before the New World Order agenda's finally realized. As if it's not bad enough already. Coptic, as a word, also has Gematria of 33. If you write out 33, it sums to 66. Very special number in Christianity. Jesus crucified at 33. Remember, Jesus equals 74? The World Trade Centers were on the 74th meridian. Came down at age 33. 33, 74, Jesus 74, cross 74, Messiah 74, gospel 74. Jesus on the cross at 33. Ramadan also has the gematria of 137, which is the 33rd prime number. Ramadan comes back to 33. Very special number to spirituality. Islam, Christianity, Judaism, the Abrahamic religions, Buddhism, Hinduism, more. 33, spiritual number. You know why? Because spirituality comes back to human beings, and we people, we have the 33 vertebrae in our back. People 33, person 33, society 33. Do the home row of your keyboard on the Gematrinator calculator. Just like you have 33 vertebrae, the home row of your keyboard, the spine, if you're English speaking, sums to 33. Not coincidental. As for this attack in Egypt that killed 29, the people were on buses. The word bus has gematria 42, like Freemason, false flag, sin. This was in Egypt, the 42 laws of Ma'at, which are all about sin. Sin 42, New Testament 42, 42 generations to Jesus. Verify it all on the calculator. War equals 42, World War 42, the Crusades 42. And, for one last point, today's date, May 27th, the 147th day of the year, Freemason 147, Conspiracy 147, Kabbalah 147, Vertebrae 147, plus a lot more. So that's the Egypt story. Here's another story from the same date, May 26th. NBA player who's Muslim from Turkey. His own government from his native country wants to arrest him because of a social media post supporting a known terrorist. This basketball player is 25 years old. Ramadan has gematria of 25 as well as 52. This basketball player plays for the Oklahoma City team, Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma City's 52, like Oklahoma City Thunder's 223. And remember, in the Bible, it says the false Jews will rule in the end times. Their name is the Synagogue of Satan, and that letter is written to the Church of Philadelphia. None of this is arbitrary. Talked about the significance of 223 and how it's been used in Oklahoma City propaganda before. Last year, this team had 3 suspicious deaths connected to it, all by the same numbers. So here's the man, supposedly online. He posted something supporting a terrorist named Fethullah Gulen, who is the whole failed coup thing from last year. If you missed my work on Turkey's failed coup, go back and check it out. That whole thing by the numbers. I should go back and look at it. I think there was a good deal of 147 there, plus more. But that name, Fethullah Gulen, gematria of 62 like Mason, 64 like Israel, Zion, Thelema, Turkey, ally of Israel in the United States. This man was in Pennsylvania, I think, for a minute or something. That was part of the story. I remember the Pennsylvania coding of 152. I have to go back and look at it. But a lot of things are interesting in his name. Freemason connections, Saturn connections. If you follow my work, you know these numbers. And if you don't know my work, just subscribe here and check out the videos. I got thousands of videos showing you what's been going on for real in this world. So Enes Kanter, he just turned 25 days ago. Then he gets used for Ramadan propaganda right after. And don't feel bad for old Enes, because this is what these basketball players signed up for when they got their big, huge contracts playing in the rigged sports leagues that they do. Every year in the off-season, these players get used in false flags. Beating, rape, weapons, drugs. People need to wake up. What's a player who's making multi-million dollars need to be, selling some drugs on the side for? It's just, they just put this stuff out to, perpetuate their stereotypes. They typically love to do it with the black athletes. So again, we talked about Duterte. His rape joke's the headline while he's declaring martial law. Think about it. Yeah, the rape joke's a problem, but martial law is the real thing. So let's finish up here with the Portland story. This is from yesterday, the first day of Ramadan. A man named Jeremy Joseph Christian. Jeremiah, Joseph, biblical names, Christian. First day of Ramadan. Anti-everything slurs, the media emphasizes. You read the story, mostly Islamic slurs. Notice they posted at 1:42. Remember, we're talking about a lot with staged terrorism. The September 11th attacks lasted an hour and 42. We just saw the big false flag at the Ariana Grande concert on the 142nd day of the year. Remember, that attack came exactly 147 weeks after the release of the single Bang Bang. Plus all the dangerous woman connections we talked about. Got a number of videos on the false flag from May 22nd. The name of that girl was Georgina Calendar, spelled just like that. Dead on the 142nd day, supposedly. As for this anti-everything slurs emphasized, that sums to 112. Just like Zionist, like Judaism, like theater, like Donald. And that's what this is. The world is a stage controlled by the Zionist Jews who control the media, who control the sources of information for this world. You know, so many people their whole lives have been... Look, if you guys... I shouldn't say so many people. It's pretty much everyone. Okay, if you grew up in the world where there's television and textbooks and you have to be at school, you grew up in the same world I did. That's the Zionist Jew world. They own all the publishing companies. They own all the magazines, newspapers, radio stations, TV outlets. They own everything. That's why you look at the names, they're almost all Jewish, without exception, across the board. These people run this world. They have been programming us, training us to believe instead of think, and to believe the way they want us to believe. You know, trusting the media, trusting Big Brother, believing what we're told. All across the world, this agenda is deep. This is the New World Order, which is an old world order. NWO equals 52, by the way, like government, like authority. Number stamped all over Ramadan. You know, all over the world, all the mainstream religions and the government, it's all control. These are all things that have been built around us over the years, you know, by the people in high places, the secret society goers who have the knowledge, who collaborate. They've been building this world around us, and they use actors to sell us out, actors like Donald Trump, actors like Duterte, actors like they have in all these countries. That's why actors are the highest paid people in this world. Somebody's saying, what about athletes? Athletes are actors. All across the world, it's the same thing. Faked rig sports. That's why betting, gambling. How do you think the casinos and gambling centers win across the world? It's because it's all a big rigged duping of the masses. Been explaining this to people. You know? That's why people with common sense lose at gambling. When you watch the Cleveland Cavaliers blow out a team with their star player in 2 games, in that other team's own building, and then that team loses their star player, well, the logical person's, of course, going to bet on the team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who already been killing that team now that it's coming back to their home building, and now that that other team's star player's out. I mean, logically, you just got to bet on the Cavs. How could they possibly lose? And then they lose. And people are going, what in the world? Because it's all scripted. You know, you got Peyton Manning throwing wounded ducks off into the sunset as he wins the Super Bowl at age 39. You got Kawhi Leonard going down, and then they blow out the Rockets in a closeout game on the Rockets' home court. I mean, these are just the recent examples I'm talking about, but this is what it always is. And people continue to fall for the obvious deception. Zionist Jews, they control your media, they control your sports leagues, your movie companies, your record studios. You ever notice that the songs on the radio, you start listening to the lyrics, if you actually pay attention, it's like everybody's singing about the same theme. It's like, what in the world? All of a sudden, every musical person's got the same thing on their mind? Every rapper and every music video just wants to wear yellow all the time now? These things are all ritual, you know? People aren't picking up on the obvious clues all around us. But also, this 112 number coded into everything the Zionists do, these people are into numbers. It's all mathematics. Everything comes back to mathematics with this game. And all of the mathematics of this world, a world of cycles and circles. If you're not able to see the screen and you're just listening to me, I'm just showing how mathematics and circle sums to 112, like Zionist, like theater, like Judaism. So a man fatally stabbed 2 people, they said. Remember how 2 has the same gematria as Freemasonry, number that can be used to represent division, which is what this story is about. Scaring people, intimidating them, dividing them over religion. They say this man's name is Jeremy Joseph Christian, age 35. And he was at the MAX, which is the electronic train that goes through Portland and the surrounding suburbs. Something that makes Portland a nice place to live if you live on the MAX line. A lot of areas you can travel for free. But anyhow, Jeremy Joseph Christian on the first day of Ramadan, racist slurs targeted at Muslims. I just want you to remember this. There's this Slipknot song called Gematria, the killing name. Gematria sums to 74 like English, like killing, like stabbing. And think about how the Ides of March is March 15th, the 74th day of the year. On the Gregorian calendar, which I might just start calling the Georgina calendar. Oregon, out of the 50 states, the only state with a simple English gematria of 74. 1 out of 50. And by the way, holidays 74, Independence Day 74. Think about our 7-4 birthday. If you write out birthday, it sums to 42. And if you write out 42, it sums to 74. Remember, the New Testament, story about Jesus, begins with the 42 generations up to Jesus. 42, 74, relationships, mathematics. Notice Jesus, cross, Messiah, and gospel also sum to 74. This is a religious story coming out of Oregon, the 33rd state. The only with the gematria of 74, like Jesus crucified on the cross at 33. Jesus Christ is also 74. Parables 74. Portland, where this happened, the biggest city, just north of the capital by an hour, Salem, witches. Portland has gematria of 100. And if you write out 100, it sums to 74. Isn't that nice? This happened at the Max station. Max sums to 38, like Oregon, like 100, like death, like killing, like murder, like gematria, like English, like Kabbalah. Remember, gematria, the killing name. Kabbalah, the Jewish mysticism that God created the world when God created the world with language when God merged the letter with the number. That is one of the underlying beliefs of Kabbalah. Other underlying beliefs, God didn't kick Adam and Eve out of the garden. Adam and Eve kicked God out. Also, major part of the Kabbalah is that the Bible never ended. We're still living in the biblical time. The biblical stories are still unfolding, including the Great Flood. And think about how the media is always telling us that, the ocean levels are rising. They're going to continue to rise. They give us maps of the future and how much will be underwater. So, with regards to the kill code on Portland and Oregon, and this is being a story about religious murder, if you're not aware, Portland is known as Rip City. Happens to be my city of birth. Portland, 44, Rip City, 44, kill, 44, execution, 44, genocide, 44. By the time the people who settled this nation got to Oregon, they'd created nearly an entire genocide of all the natives across the entire country. Can genocide 44, like kill, like execution, like military. The full name of the MAX is the Metropolitan Area Express, which I noticed has the gematria of 134. Been following my work. We've been talking a lot about this number in June 3rd, 134 days after Trump takes office. Something seemingly being foreshadowed for that date in a big way. That's the number that corresponds with Tisha B'Av, which is to remember the destruction of the 2 temples. Like the 2 towers on September 11th, New Year's Day of the Coptic calendar. So here's the picture of this man. This entire story is according to police. It makes me wonder if it even happened, The police can just make up whatever they want, abuse the power of the media, their authority, get this information out here. I'd like to know if there's even really a Jeremy Joseph Christian out there. What really happened? There's a lot of people with mental problems in the prison industrial complex. The authority, they could easily take somebody out of these prisons that have a mental problem. They could create a false flag. There's a bunch of different things they could be doing here. But the entire story comes from the police. So, again, first day of Ramadan, this man's name, JJC, kind of like JC for Jesus Christ. Jeremy Joseph Christian. Christian 47, the reflection is 74. Again, Ramadan's also 47. Just in case you forgot, I'll put it up here one more time. Ramadan. His full name, Jeremy Joseph Christian, has gematria of 119, like All-Seeing Eye, like Star of David, like Master Plan, like King James Bible. There's more. Vatican's 119, Francis 119, Confession, Catholic thing, 119. Also has the 52 in it. All of these numbers are so significant. They said he was 35 years old. So he has the All-Seeing Eye coded name, the word I, 35. Also like King James, who has the 66 book Bible named after him, being born in the year 1566. King James of the Rosicrucians, who have history with the Catholic Church and the Jesuits, the Masonic order within the Catholic Church, the Rosicrucians, in a way gave birth to modern Freemasonry. King James Bible also has gematria of 88, like Oregon, like Trump. Again, one of the most Masonic versions of the Bible, the King James Bible. The Rosicrucians, Freemasonry, a lot of overlap. Type Rosicrucian, Rose Cross, Freemasonry, Secret Society, Solomon's Temple, Craftsman. You're going to see they all sum to 58. Herod's Temple's 58 as well. Jerusalem, 58. United States, with a single exception, 58. Chessboard. All important to Masonry, because all of this, that's what it is. It's all Masonry. We, the people of the world who aren't part of this network, we're just being mocked with this hidden knowledge. Something else interesting about All-Seeing Eye being coded onto this man in light of his last name being Christian. Look at this. All-Seeing Eye, also 61, like Master Plan, like Christian, like Christmas, like Jesus, like Cross, like Church, like Ides of March. Remember that story about Kanye West on the cross out of Hollywood on the date with 61 numerology? Hollywood equals 33, Kanye West 33. I should mention that Philadelphia also sums to 61. There's that important letter written to the Church of Philadelphia in the Bible about the false Jews, the synagogue of Satan ruling in the end times. Notice the numbers, 61, 101, 223. 223 for the synagogue of Satan. Philadelphia one more time, who the letter's written to. And then church, 61, 101 as well. And you might have noticed that Philadelphia was also 65. Look at Christianity. You see? The U.S., the original capital, Philadelphia, Christian nation, English-speaking nation. Something else interesting about Jesus, we talked about the 74 connection, the Ides of March, remembered for killing Caesar. Caesar equals 47 like president. Ides of March, also 61, the 74th day of the year. All roads lead to Rome. And speaking of which, Roman 74 as well. Like Masonic, like Jewish, like holiday, like Independence Day, like English, like gematria. This man's name, Jeremy Joseph Christian, also has gematria of 106. Prophecy equals 52 and 106. Again, Ramadan, 52. Tennessee has that gematria of 106 2 years ago, that big false flag that got a lot of attention during Ramadan. And we talked about the overlap between Ramadan and terrorist. With regards to Ramadan having gematria of 137, again, that's the 33rd prime number. This story out of Oregon, the 33rd state. The police officer giving the details is named Simpson. Par for the course there, Police 33, Simpson 33. Again, if you have not seen this movie, You know? It's a disturbing movie, but please watch it. Filth. Notice filth equals 55. This movie came out on the 55th birthday of the writer of the story Filth, and it's about a police department where everyone's in Freemasonry and they're competing for a promotion. Watch this movie, Filth. Just goes to show how things are done by the numbers. Came out on Irvine Welsh's 55th birthday in Scotland. And here we are talking about Scottish Rite Freemasonry, which has its headquarters in Washington, D.C. Anyhow, Police 33, Simpson 33, False Flag 33, Masonry 33, Secrecy 33, the abbreviation for Oregon 33. Again, they overlap with Jesus, God's Son 33, Jehovah 33, Bible 33, Good Book 33. There's a whole lot more. Genesis 33, Noah's Ark 33, Galilee 33, and more. They say that the stabbing, one of the people was stabbed in the neck fatally. Think about this. The neck, where the top of the vertebrae is, the 33rd vertebrae that connects to the brain. Neck 33, 33 vertebrae, brain equals 33, or not brain, skull equals 33, and pineal equals 33. The mind's eye, the pineal gland. Look at it. Neck 33, people, person, society, order, nervous, your nervous system controlled by your spine, your 33 vertebrae. The spine of the keyboard, skull, pineal. Vertebrae also has the gematria of 147, like Freemason, like conspiracy. And think about it. This is all about, knowledge and figuring out how to use the mind at its highest capacity. With regards to 147, I got to put this up here. Kabbalah, which is the Jewish mysticism when it's used by the occult. Notice it's 42 and 147. Just like Freemason, 42 and 147. This Kabbalah, there's one side of it's about spiritual ascension. The other side is about just the opposite, to use against your enemies. Essentially the black magic side, to hold them down. And that's what it is. Negative stories every year, every day, every week, like clockwork, oftentimes in tribute to the other things going on in the world, such as religious holy days, such as Ramadan. And here this news became headline news on the 147th day of the year. It supposedly happened yesterday in Portland, the first day of Ramadan. Something else I noticed about the mind's eye, it has gematria of 94. When you write out 94, it sums to 147. Traveling up the vertebrae to get to the mind's eye. Right here, it closes with this emphasized hate is evil. Hate is evil. Notice, gematria of 47, reflection of 74. And hold on, I'm thinking about something. I just realized that. I almost forgot it. Hate has the gematria of 74 as well. This story coming out of Oregon, the only state with an English ordinal gematria of 74. Hate is evil. Hate is evil, also 61. Notice this is the Freemason compass, set at 47 degrees, the legs of the compass. Very special number to this gang. Represents the 47th problem of Euclid, which is about how to establish a square foundation. Notice foundation's 47, framework's 47. You establish it by using the pole star, which is the North Star. Pole star has the gematria of 47. For one last one, again, all of this propaganda serves the benefit of Israel. Remember, Israel was recognized on the 333rd day of 1947 by a 33-member vote by the United Nations. And if you write out 47th problem of Euclid, it sums to 333 with the alphabetic order. Again, Israel, established on the 333rd day of 47 with a 33-member vote by the United Nations. And notice also 135, June 3rd will be 134 days after Trump took office, or his 135th day in office. And, of course, Trump has the gematria of 47, like president, like White House, like government, like authority. Very special number in Washington, D.C., which also has gematria 47 D.C. The streets, the layout of D.C. built or designed by a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason from France, 47. Les Enfants plan, what it's called. The layout of D.C. equals 333 in Jewish gematria. But here it is, truth seeker. Ramadan rolls around, and like clockwork, all sorts of Islamic propaganda. Been talking about this the last 3 years, just wrote about it on my blog last week. I said, watch when Ramadan rolls around, the false flags will spike. All right, until next time. Forgot to cover something important. Portland, Oregon, where the false flag happened on the first day of Ramadan, has gematria of 174. Portland, Oregon equals 174, just like false flag sums to 174, like New World Order sums to 174. There's a World Trade Center in Portland, Oregon, much smaller than the New York one, but it's there. Number of the beast also has the gematria of 174, and this is very relevant. We talked a lot about 61. 61 is the 18th prime number. By the way, the word prime, using the alphabetic order, sums to 61. And what's interesting about 18 is it factors into 6 plus 6 plus 6, a lot like 666, number of the beast. In the Bible, it's Revelation 13:18 that teaches about 666. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. If you take the part of this verse that says, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, it sums to 223. 223, the number for the false Jews, also the number representing Masonic, Freemason history based in the Old Testament Jewish history. But anyhow, 61 has this connection to 666. This news is a mainstream national news story on Saturday, May 27th, the 147th day of the year. Notice the verse begins, here is wisdom, which sums to 147. The beast in Revelation, it's also said that the beast rules for 42 months, 147. Again, this all comes back to Kabbalah, which has gematria of 147 and 42. Albert Pike, the Freemason, he said Christianity, as well as Masonry, owes all of its secrets and symbolism to Kabbalah. The belief where God created the world with language when God merged the letter with the number. And of course, the Bible, Old Testament and New Testament, a book of numbers, interrelated numbers, numbers that the Christians are told not to study, not to know because they're evil, just like knowing the stars is evil, according to the Bible. Knowing the world is evil. You're just supposed to believe that God's one and only Son was crucified for your sins. It's pretty much all it comes down to, for most Christians at least. And again, sin, gematria of 42, like the 42 generations to Jesus, like how the beast rules for 42 months. So what is 666? The number of man. Carbon has 6 neutrons, protons, electrons. Humans made out of carbon. If you type in clockwork, it has Sumerian gematria of 666. The word time, using the alphabetic order, sums to 47. The word beast, 47. Again, the tropics that measure the sun, which measures time, 47 degrees apart. Time 47, beast 47, Christian 47, Ramadan 47. Christianity and Islam having a lot to do with the sun in the sky. Just think about it. The beast is time. And we've been given all these rules and religions, to follow in the time we're here. To hold us down so we can be ruled over. So we can be debt slaves. So just want to get this one last piece in there. Important piece, almost forgot. There was a lot to it. This was the last little bit. I also just noticed Rip City sums to 89 for the first time, and that blew me away with it being my city of birth. If you never read about my birth, I was born July 21st, 1983, the coldest day on recorded history. Date of negative 89 degrees Celsius. The recorded temperature, still the record in the time of recorded history. And strangely enough, my dad's full name, my full name, they both sum to 89. My mother's born on September 8th. 8/9 in most parts. Plus a few other things. Got a recent video called Revelation. And I talk about the organic side of this gematria language. That number 89, which corresponds with Rip City, the word religion also sums to 89. The name King James, who has the Bible named after him, 89. And here's a very religious story on the first day of Ramadan, again from the 33rd state, that spiritual number. All right, truth seeker. Until next time.